This episode, our 200th episode, Perspectives. This is our 200th episode. We decided to give some perspective to the podcast, our handyman businesses, what we have personally learned, and how we have implemented what we have learned. Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show, home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros. Thanks for listening to another edition of the Handyman Pros Radio Show, where our goal is to help save you time, money, and aggravation on your home maintenance and repair. This edition's entitled Our 200th Episode, Perspectives. To help me explain, I'm here with my ever-cheerful co-host and old buddy, John. John, big doings, baby. We've hit 200.
Man, yeah, you bet. You bet, Larry. This is really something. 200 episodes. This is the 200th. And,
you know, when we
first started this, it was...
Do you think they're sick of us?
Incredible that we, that we got this thing off the ground for for that length of time. And 200 episodes has been great. We've had a lot of great response from the audience. We've had a lot of fun doing it. And as we get into it, it's been a big benefit for me, professionally and personally.
Yeah, and 200 is a big deal, folks. We are bragging. We're just going to throw it out there. We're bragging. We've gotten to where most podcasters actually never get. 50% of all podcasts produce less than 14 episodes. So 200 is a pretty big deal. We thought, Johnny, didn't we think we're going to talk a little inside baseball, a little bit about what it takes to do a podcast and what it takes to make the show. So.
Well, and this is something that, we've been asked a couple of times and that I've responded to, because everybody's like, well, guys probably spend a whole lot of time doing this, which, we spend some time doing this. There's no doubt about it, but it's like anything else, a learning curve. And, once you get over that hump, things start to go a little bit faster. But as the listeners out there, if you just started to listen, Larry and I talk just about every day. And so as painful as that is for me, we
hey, right back at you, baby.
we discuss things that we'd like to present on the show, as well as what we've been doing lately, and if we need each other's help on projects or things that to help customers and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's when and we say this, that we talk every day. Most of what we talk about every day it's related to the show, but it's not really what we talk about. We talk mostly about our handyman businesses, just about what we did, what we've done, and the flip side of that, folks, is that what ends up happening is this is where the show ideas come from. Because Johnny and I, I'll ask John a question about, or I'm doing something, and John will ask me a question, or he'll have been doing a job, and he'll say, and I did this, and I'm like, oh, that's an awesome tip. That's like, I forgot about that or something. Anyway, it makes a show topic is a lot of how our ideas come up with. So that's a bit of, I just wanted people to understand that we don't talk about the show every day per se, but we talk about the handyman business in general because we're talking about the jobs we're doing. And then therefore we get show topics out of our, I don't want to call them frustrations, but some of our tips, tricks, whatever it is, whatever we're doing at the time. And all of a sudden, there you go. There's a topic for a show. And it's really kind of that interesting. And so, anyway,
yeah. So we gather all that information, and and we want to pass along. There's a lot of things that I discover, and actually that you discover, and actually all the folks in the audience, they'll come up with some tips and things, and they'll pass that along to our Facebook group, which is great because I'm sitting there doing some things and I'm like, boy, hey, this is working great for me. I'm sure if it's just me, if it's working great for me, everybody else could use it too. So pass it along, right?
Pass it along, right?
We're all in this together, doing handyman or do DIY projects and things like that.
Projects in general doesn't matter, right? Whatever you're doing, pretty much you can take a lot of the principles that we talk about and apply them to anything, right? Like planning and all that kind of stuff. You can apply that to anything. So anyway,
right.
So we wanted to let y'all know we put in what do we put in, Johnny? How much time on a like a day in when we actually record? So to give our people the perspective, we actually do multiple recordings when we record. We record what, about every 2 weeks? Is that about what we're doing?
Probably somewhere around there. We're never catch when catch can kind of thing as well, because of all the other projects that we're working on. But we spend maybe 3 hours at a session discussing business as well as to do this podcast. And finding and also talking with other people that we want to bring forward to the audience. For interviews and things like that. So it's this is where we get our material from. I've been asked that too. Our own experiences where we get our material, the current projects which we just were talking about. But I go through and I read the trade rags, the trade magazines, plumbing, HVAC, electrical, and so like I always say, I'll do it so you don't have to. They're pretty exciting, but there are some good things in there.
There's lots of good things. There's lots of good things. They just need to be distilled, right? If you're not in the industry, you don't really understand what they're saying. So we get it. So we have a way of turning it into English.
Very well put. That's exactly it. I just like to distill it down to pulling out some of the nuggets out of there. Also, it's all these interviews that we do, right, Larry? We'll be talking a little bit about that. Some of the folks that we've done the interviews with, but we like to go through the industry experts, other tradesmen out there, other handymen.
Yeah.
So
we don't, folks, we do not know everything. We don't pretend to know everything. We know a lot, but we don't know everything. And what we found is, like when we're thinking about stuff, just certain things that we don't have expertise in, we like to get somebody on that does. And so I'm a huge podcast listener of other podcasts. And if I find somebody on a podcast that I think's interesting, I will literally send them an email or call them up and say, hey, do you want to be on a podcast? And then other things too, like we'll just be going through, I spend a lot of time like searching out materials and things for jobs. I'm always looking for new materials. And sometimes you'll find an owner of a company who has a unique product. And I'm like, man, he'd be great to have on to talk about his product, just because it's a different type of product. And we'll get into some of these people, but the one that jumps into my mind is Mike Fodia. He talked about these bathroom wall panels that are a one-piece thing, no grout lines and all that kind of stuff. And actually, that show aired on, when did we show that one there? April 5th of 2021. But that we like to do that kind of thing because we don't know everything. And if we're finding new products, we want to bring new products out to you. We want to bring you an idea of what's going on out there in the world of construction and construction materials and all that kind of stuff. Anything having to do with doing a project, right, John? I mean,
yeah, no, absolutely. And it just helps if we're learning, the audience is learning. That's my goal, right? Is that I'd like to, when we talk to Mike, we talk to some of these other folks, they bring a wealth of knowledge out there of all these either new, techniques we don't utilize, new products, just the trends in the industry, all kinds of things that we want to bring, forward. So, it helps, like I said, doing this podcast and talking to these people, and sharing all this information helps me, in my job. To do all this.
Yeah, and even when we talk to other handymen, it's a different perspective on the same types of situations. We do not claim to know everything. We work basically in North Atlanta, so we know that market really, really well. But there's, 60 billion other markets out there that we like to hear the input from some of the other handymen. What do they do? How do they do things? Just anything from marketing to sales to how they actually buy materials and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of our ideas. It's to give you, because we understand this show is listened to, believe it or not, folks, worldwide, and things are not done everywhere the same way. So there's different codes. There's all sorts of different things that go into the various different projects that you're going to do out there. So we like to bring other people in from other areas and things like that, or other expertise areas, and it just gives us a different look on some of the same things that we're doing. And honestly, John, I've learned a ton from a bunch of our guests.
Yeah, right. And I'll throw one out right now that Ray Anderson, the drywall doctor on YouTube. Yeah. We did that on May 3rd, 2021, yep. And Ray is a great guy. We had just a blast talking with him before and after the show and during the show. But he has, he's just got a ton of knowledge of doing drywall. And that is one of the things that, a lot of people, a lot of DIYers out there get a little, nervous about doing.
Yeah. And even us. I mean, I've been doing drywall repair for years, right, Johnny? Sure. There were just a few little tips and tricks that he brought out that makes my job now when I do a drywall repair better, stronger, faster. Like literally, right? Now, he talked about the various different products and where to use them and where not to use them, and then he got it, and he basically laid out that whole system. I'm like, dang, man, he saved me hours and hours and hours of work doing drywall. And not that my drywall work was bad, it wasn't. It just wasn't as efficient as it is now. And so even for me, that one was a great episode. It was just great. It was just great. We also do pick some stuff up too. I just wanted to mention this. We go through the Facebook groups side of it, and we're members of some handyman groups and a lot of DIY groups. We get a lot of our information. Questions that we're looking to have answered. We get off those. Some of those we get off those sites. We just see, because we start seeing the same questions over and over and over again. We're like, there's a show. There's a show coming. So other things on interviews, Johnny. Just what are some of our highlight interviews? We've had some really good ones.
Well, one of your customers was on there, actually, was Eric Scharf. Yep. And we talked about carpets.
Yeah, he sells very high-end luxury carpets. He was on May 17th of 2021, and he sells really high-end carpets. I didn't know any of it, to be honest.
Nope, I didn't either.
And he just went on and talked about all about how carpets are made, how you clean a carpet. One of the things that he brought up, John, that we were pretty impressed with was talking to local people, because the local guys know, like the local carpet store, he knows way more. The local guy knows way more about carpet than the big box stores do, and they're gonna give you recommendations based on your specific needs, even things down to vacuums. So that one of my biggest takeaways out of that show was the whole vacuum issue and how more suction is not necessarily good, right? So listen to that show. It was fascinating. It really was interesting. Again, it was May 17th of 2021, and it was all about carpets, and he's been in the carpet industry for, can't remember. I think it was 35 years. Anyway, it's in the show. I think it was 35 years, but it just was there was some fascinating stuff there. Really fascinating stuff. We talked a little bit about Mike Fodia with the bathroom and wall panels. Mike runs a company called Innovate Supply. It's also, he's up in Cleveland. He actually has contractors that redo bathrooms and things. So he's seen it from both sides of the fence. And he developed his Innovate Supply largely to come up with new products to use himself, and he's subsequently started selling some of those products out. I've used several of his products myself. I did a curbless shower, and he's got this great pan that doesn't require you to cut into the joists underneath, lays flat. He's got some really good products. It's a really interesting thing. It's been a great relationship that we've developed. Who else have we talked to, John?
Well, one of the ones that one of the guys that we've known for a long time, Cliff Whitney, talking about drones. I think that show was on on January 25th of this 2021. And that, folks, if you anything you want to know about drones, which is quadcopters, if you will, check out that show. It's amazing what they're doing. We got into that with Cliff because he does teach the use of drones and certification, FAA certification for drones. And like I said, we got into that because of a lot of inspectors, real estate. They're using these things to roofing folks to examine the top of your your house without getting on your roof.
Yeah, and then real estate people are using them to take pictures of, to fly up above and get an aerial view around your house and do fly ups. It's really cool technology. We met Cliff, gosh, Johnny, how long? What, 15 years ago? So Cliff runs at AtlantaHobby.com along with UAVexperts.com, which is that's the drone side, or UAV is unmanned aerial vehicles. The technical name for drones. And anyway, so we've known Cliff like forever, and we were just sitting around one day saying, man, I got to look at a roof, but I don't want to get on the thing. And our good friend too, who actually has been on the show, home inspector named Chris Kennedy, he was back. I don't have the dates on that, but it was pretty early in our shows. He uses his all the time for that. He goes, instead of climbing a ladder, he just flies his drone, and he can look at. It's amazing how the detail they can get. But anyway, that was on 125 of 2021. That was with Cliff Whitney from UAV Experts, all talking all about drones and how drones are used in construction and how you can use drones for other applications as well. So kind of interesting stuff. We've done a couple of shows with Kyle Cox from Blindster. Blindster.com and between you, me, and the lamppost, I never knew there were so many options in window shades. Oh my God!
Until you go on his website and check it out. He's got a nice size operation going. And Larry, I think you actually put up some of his blinds, and you were really impressed with the directions and the way the whole thing went up and everything. So.
Yeah, it's funny. It plays back to Eric Sharp. So I'm in Eric's house, and Eric needed some blinds, and I said, he goes, "Do you know anybody that sells blinds?" I said, "As a matter of fact, I do." I said, I sent him to Blindster. So he got the no glue required ones, and for the blinds, and I got to tell you what, he still hired me to put them up, which was kind of whatever, right? It's kind of a whatever, but I was really impressed. So the really unique thing about the way that they mount is actually the brackets themselves, and it's a fantastic product. Now, I put some screws in along with the glue. I did that largely because I was in a time pinch, and you do have to let the glue set for like an hour before you hang the blinds. And I was like, I'm not waiting an hour, so I drilled 2 holes in it and put 2 screws up in there. I can tell you, folks, those blinds aren't coming down ever. I mean, ever. So,
and the amount of product that he has.
Yeah, Eric actually got one of their vinyl shutter system for like plantation blind shutters, and I mounted that in a bathroom too, and that was really good. I think the best thing about those products, that from my perspective, is the instructions were really clear, really, really clear, and I always say, you read the instructions first, because you only need to pick out one little thing that'll save you, hours of work, right?
Right.
Oh, I forgot that screw.
And one of I was going to say, I'm sorry, Larry, I didn't mean to step on you. Well, the thing I was going to say, about Blindster is the amount of product, but it's also the expense of the product. It's the same as like going to a big box store, except these are all custom.
Custom, yep.
And they will walk you through how to measure. I mean, A to Z on this thing. You can get on the phone with them. You can send pictures of where you're going to install it. They'll help you with decoration, to ideas and things like all that.
They ask you what are you actually trying to achieve, right? Because there's a difference between a blackout curtain and a what do you call it, like a light shade curtain. So there's different.
They're all different levels of. Light.
Yeah, so they ask those questions. You don't get that when you go into a big box store. They're like, yeah, there they are. Have a blast. If you don't know what you're actually looking for, you're in trouble.
Right. Exactly.
And I just never knew how many different options there are, because it's not in my wheelhouse. But it's okay. I mean, but learned a ton on that one. Learn to talk. And there's a couple of shows. We didn't get the dates for those, but they're out there. Just you can type in and look for Kyle Cox. We also did a couple of shows with Chad Carson, and by the way, folks, all these people we're going to have on again at some time or another. But we did some shows with Chad Carson. Chad's a guy that I know through the Financial Independence Group. Chad is a strong real estate investor. He's got about 110 properties. Last time we talked to him, he really knows his stuff. One of the things of why I like to talk to rental property people is that there's lessons to be learned from volume, right? So a guy that has 110 properties really understands a lot of things in the maintenance and reno and management and things like that. And personally, I think all of those lessons transfer through to anybody that's a homeowner, and Chad's really numbers oriented. So he really, really, trust me, if you want a spreadsheet, he's got it, whatever it is that you want to do. He just tends to be oriented more towards the investment side, the real estate investment side. But that's okay. We originally contacted him because he was renovating what was it? It was built.
It was a triplex.
Yeah, it was a triplex, and it was built around 1900, roughly, the best he could figure. And folks, if you've not worked in any homes that are that old, they are challenging. Like they can be simple too. It just depends. Both John and I grew up John grew up in Chicago. I grew up in Western New York. The house I lived in was built in 1812. So I know a lot of that stuff just by default. My house was the original parts of my home that I grew up in were pegged together, meaning there were no nails. They were put together with wooden pegs. And that's a whole different game than today's modern stud construction. It's just a very different aspect. So that 100-year-old plus house was a pretty interesting thing. He had to do major foundation work and so forth and so on. And that's really what the two shows are about. It's about doing those renovations and well, at the end, you have to listen to the shows because they're really fascinating. At the end, we talked about how far off were you, and he was very gracious and gave us real numbers on that. So
yeah.
Anyway.
So for all you folks out there that are doing renovations, even remodels, renovations, listen to that show, and it'll really help you kind of how you plan and budget and walk through a big project like that. So if you're thinking about doing that, you got to listen to those shows. Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah. Really, really good. John, one of the other places where we get we get a lot of suggestions from you, our audience, as far as what we want to do for shows. And please keep that stuff coming. Please, 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 please. Send us emails. Send us smoke signals. I don't care. Call us. Actually, you can probably find our phone numbers. We might not answer, but leave a message. We'll get back to you. That kind of stuff. And anything that you have, we just really appreciate feedback from you, what you want to hear, what you want to learn about, because that's what we're really about. Again, we're trying to help you save time, money, and aggravation. That is mostly about education, believe it or not, because when you walk into a project and you go, I think it should cost this. Okay, when's the last time you checked lumber prices, or when's the last time you went and looked at building materials? When's the last time you looked at labor? And I think I should be able to get it done tomorrow. Yeah, no, not right now, So that's what a lot of our goals are. Johnny, all those things that we've learned, how have we applied them to our businesses?
Well, like I was mentioning earlier, was all of the suggestions that we get. I was just going to piggyback on that because I look at that and say, do I know that? And then I can respond to it, if somebody's got a question. And if I don't, I'm like, great. Now I can go and, learn about that. And I'll go ahead and dig up that information. We'll go seek out some folks to talk to about it, have them on the show. It's because we all do a lot of different things out there. So, and that, now I apply it to my business because I'm learning all the time because of the speed of which there's new building products. The codes are changing. There's different techniques. All these things help me in my confidence level when I go out and do different types of jobs. Yeah. Because I'm, as handyman, we're not doing the same thing every day, day in and day out. We're doing different things. So, it's great to have this well-rounded knowledge base.
Yes, very much so. And even little things like just new products, and for example, they can save us tremendous times. Tools. I'm a big tool guy, right? I'll tell you. But I'm a guy that sits there and says, I look at a tool and I go, so how much time is this going to save me? Is it going to save me any time? Or is it going to give me a better quality product, right? Meaning finished product, is it better? And so I'm forever looking at that stuff. And I don't mind investing in tools and or new products if they're going to achieve the two goals: saving me time, which effectively saves my customers money, and also if they can give me a better product, that gives my customers a better quality issue, right? I mean, they get a better quality product for the same price. That's my goals for my business, for my handyman side. And so I really like the fact that, and getting some of these ideas from other people is just fantastic, or from your audience. Like it just really, really helps. It's really helped improve my work, and it's also quite a bit of fun. So I guess that's kind of part of the results, isn't it, John?
Yep. So, our little motto is saving time, money, and aggravation. And those three things kind of fit together, don't they?
Yeah. Yep.
So, Larry, where do we go from here, right? Where do we go from here? Coming up, this is our 200th episode. And I'm just really happy. I hear that you're at your construction site there.
I am. You're hearing nail pops in the background.
Yeah, I know. I hear that.
Yep.
But we've updated our website. We're going to continue to update our website. Our website is going to be a big part of this show. As well as our Facebook group. We're gaining more and more folks there. Please join if you haven't.
That's at Handyman Pros.
At Handyman Pros.
Sorry.
And we're going to be doing some more videos and things like that. It takes a lot of time to do these things, but that's kind of where what the next step here is for us is to continue to do our the website and start to get into some more videos.
Yeah,
what else, Larry?
Our goal is to get out to you in as many ways as possible. So there's basically three ways we kind of look at ourselves as starting into the edge of a multimedia empire. I mean, it's like an empire, right? But we're thinking about it this way. We want to come to you in as many formats as possible. Currently, we're really just audio, right? So it's this podcast, and that is a strictly audio format. It's very intimate, obviously, right? It's one of the beauties of podcasts. It's very, very intimate. But we want to get to video, and again, video is a very different world. It really takes an incredible amount of time to do good videos, but we're going there. We're already in process on working on that stuff. And our website is the integral part of that. It's where that's where all this information is going to be held. We're also going to start posting more in the way of blogs too, of actually written things and we have a lot of blogs out there, folks. So if you're looking for information on, just for example, I'm just thinking there's one blog out there that I wrote that's about just garbage disposal maintenance and what you need to do on a regular basis. It's a real short article. It's probably it's a couple of paragraphs long, but it gives you all the tips on how to maintain your garbage disposal. Real simple, really easy. It's something you can do, once a day. But we're gonna do the blogs. We're gonna do the videos. We're gonna continue to do the podcast. We also want to do a newsletter. So please join our newsletter. That's handymanprosradioshow.com. There's a subscribe button there. You can subscribe. We're going to try and send out a newsletter every month, and it's just going to be upcoming stuff, your suggestions, anything that's relevant, items in the news that we might not put out on the podcast, because we get a lot of information. And with that, all of that's coming up. Again, we're at Handyman Pros on Facebook to build our community. Again, we're trying to build the community. And then basically, John, we want to know what you want. We want to know what our listeners want. We want to know what you want to hear about. We want to do that kind of stuff. That's the big thing. And then, lastly, I'm really working hard, John. I'm trying to get more jokes, cringy jokes. I'm trying to get an episode done from the spaceship. That's where I want to go. I bet you do. Hey, Allie N is in my car right now.
Yeah.
She's sitting in my front seat.
Yep.
Johnny tells
folks,
the story.
He's got I'm telling you, if you ever see a big stand-up white van drive by with an alien in it, you don't have to look twice. There is one in there.
it's Larry.
It's sitting in the passenger seat.
I get the best looks. I'm telling you. I get the best looks.
Well, Larry, this has been great. I look forward to the next 100 shows. Just keep this thing rolling, and I wanted to thank everybody for all their participation that we've had. Like I said earlier, the beginning, it's been a lot of fun doing this. I've learned a lot, so I thank everybody out there for joining in.
Yeah, and thank you for listening and all of that. We really appreciate it because it's kind of our way to learn this business. I mean, we knew a lot about this business, but we've learned so much more. It's been so rewarding for us. And your feedback and the comments and some of the things that we've said, you know, just for example, we had Paul Giziani, he's a member of the DIY, the Choose FI DIY group, and Paul just said, you know, I've learned so much from you guys, and I don't know about you, John, but to me that was so worth it to have that conversation with him. So again, if you like this show, please share it with your friends, your neighbors. We would really appreciate it. If you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, you hear me say this all the time, but I'm serious about it. Send us an email, questions@handymanprosradioshow.com. You can also send us an email at handymanprosradioshow@gmail.com as well. So, you know, you can get us that way. You can join our Facebook group at Handyman Pros, and we are on Twitter as well at Handyman Radio. So with that, we want to thank you for listening. We will see you next week and throughout the next 100 shows on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.